Welcome to the Hack Lab. Today we're going to be talking about puzzles that I made on my laser cutter. I have 10 designs now that I've done. I built these in Illustrator, but you can build them in Inkscape. But man, has it been really fun. It's something my daughter and I discovered that was a complete accident while we were playing this game that I think it would level up a marble maze game. I've primarily been using it for little stuff, but this upcoming year, I can't wait to do some really bigger things like furniture with that. That includes upgrading it to a air compressor versus an air pump. That's what's really cool about some of the advanced features of a laser cutter like the Thunder is that you can put any external air and the machine can handle it. So if you want to cut through really thick objects, natively the machine actually cuts through 3/4 inch wood. I've made a bunch of thumb page holders and that works. But if you want to do some more denser materials like plywood, you may need some type of air compressor. So in this particular design for the marble puzzle, what I used was just 3mm birch. So what it took to build this was around $3. And so you start here at the bottom or the top in the corner, and you have to get your marble all the way through or a ball bearing. So the ball bearings that I use are a variety of sizes, and I have these linked down below. So if you were to buy a file on Etsy, make sure you understand that the majority of the files that I've seen on Etsy are for really, really tiny bearings, and those bearings are 2.5 millimeters. You could really hardly see it. I'm sure if you swallowed it, please don't, it would go through your system no problem. But then there is a 3mm or a 4mm bearing, and then there is a 5mm bearing. I designed this for a 5mm bearing. Make sure that you do a test slot for your marble. Even if you were to buy the file, make sure that you actually test your current ball bearing or your marble, and then you go ahead and cut everything out. Test everything. So you want to just go ahead and cut this out. You're going to be wasting material if you don't do a test slot. Another thing is these are all glued together. Use clamps when you glue this together. Make sure that you have it pressed down really nicely, and then use a roller for your glue. So you want to put down your tracks, and then you want to roll out the glue. And so when it's all done, you want to press it down. Use a small amount of glue, roll it down, and then just press it and let it sit. Another thing that an opportunity you have is, I think I have another back here, is another opportunity is you could paint the back prior to doing that, okay? And then you can go ahead and paint the top if you want. You could paint each one of them differently. Okay, after playing this with my daughter, here is the big thing, and then I'm going to talk to you about the Thunder a little bit and about the RF tube and what I like about that. It's really important since I put that in the title, like where I'm at right now with about 2.5 months with this Thunder. Okay, after we played the game, I realized that it would be nice to have at the start point to have a full big circle that clearly said where you can start. So if two people were playing and they were to be competitive against each other and they were to time it, it would be nice to have a green start point and a black or red end point. So I added that into the design. Well, here's what's really interesting. As we were playing this game, I realized that I designed it and I forgot to make it. It wasn't possible to finish the actual maze. So my daughter was doing it and she was figuring it out, and she couldn't even finish it because it was impossible to get to the end. So we were laughing last night and we were saying, hey, maybe we could build that into the game. And that's exactly what I did. So what I did is I added these extra little pieces here. And these pieces can be made to make the game interactive. So let's say that you're playing the game and you want to create a different maze. There's these little blockers that can be added to the actual design here that you can fit them in, and they will block the marble from going the direction. So what we thought, we were going to being a little bit silly, is that when someone, you would basically say, hey, do you mind grabbing me a drink? And then you go ahead and put one of these blockers in, and it becomes the impossible puzzle. I have to tell you, this RF tube, I am so glad that I upgraded to the RF tube. The RF tube is cooled by a series of fans, and it looks like something out of a Star Wars movie. So all the power, the detail, everything is in this RF tube. This RF tube is really the leading tech right now when it comes to laser cutters. So when you think about ordering a laser or a big laser cutter, you have to consider cooling that big tube. And what's great about the RF tube is that the laser has a smaller footprint. You don't have a separate cooler. It's cooled by air with all these fans. And it is nicely protected in the back of the machine. When you're opening and closing the door, you don't want to run the laser. You'll get a warning if the glass is open. While that laser is going, you want that glass to be shut to protect you. It's nice metal, unlike a lot of plastic machines. So my glow forges were both plastic. I constantly see people putting up things like, hey, my glow forge caught on fire or whatever else. And this situation with a metal enclosure, it's better. So one of the things I loved about it is that when you're homing and moving things around, it's really, really cool the fact that you can leave the door open while you're working a little bit on it, but the safety prohibits you from running the laser. So what I'm saying is that while you're working in a professional environment, you don't have to wait for the software to be transferred or connect to a web server. Everything is working way more efficiently and fast, and you can run a lot more jobs. Another thing is that when you're framing your file, that is just checking to see whether or not the file is actually would fit on your material. That framing is so quick. It just gives you that little bit of assurance, or the assurance that you need to know that your file is not going to waste any material. I'm constantly seeing things with this Thunder and how well it's designed that is going to make my growth into a viable laser business possible now, because it's something that I can trust if I had just one machine. So everything has been worked out perfectly. I have not had any issues. The only reason is I wanted to become better a laser engraver, so I've been contacting the headquarters in Texas, and they have been kind enough just to walk me through some really sort of work ideas in making some efficiencies. My Nova 35 Plus, that means it has the RF tube, has been an unbelievable game changer and has just been a joy to own. If you're interested in the file, it's linked down below. A lot of times my files are free. Whatever you do, make something that connects someone. Peace out. Thanks for being here.